Hello. So OpenAI released O3 recently, and you might have noticed that the only real news about that what it was able to beat Arc AGI challenge. This is supposedly a huge deal. Does this mean we have AGI now and the humans are done? Since I already made previously a lengthy video about Arc and wrote to it, I wanted to give my take on this. Quick reminder, so this is Arc. It's actually a very simple IQ test. You are presented with few inputs and matching outputs. Your job is to find a pattern and apply it to a new input. Easy for humans, hard for AI. Well, at least it used to be, because O3 obliterated it. And by the way, funny story, why no O2? It seems some UK mobile company managed to copyright something we commonly known as oxygen, and OpenAI had to skip a version. So here are the results. The most advanced version of O3 reached 90%, which is already human-like, since regular people don't reach 100% either. Some puzzles are quite tricky. Also, look at this amazing chart. It shows the progression we had over the years of different models scoring against Arc. I don't know about you, I feel always kind of a bit scared when looking at exponential lines, because uncertainty of the future seems to be a bit too much for us to handle. But it's usually a mistake to feel this way. In this exact case, of course, the line cannot grow anymore since we cannot get above 100%. But even then, I want to remind you, every sigmoid used to be an exponential. So no need to be scared just by looking at this chart. But anyway, if we take Arc AGI to be a definitive AGI indicator, you still might want to start to panic looking at this, but maybe don't. I will explain why later. But first, how did we do it? Well, we don't know much yet about internal workings of O3, but it seems we are using multiple chain of thought programs and essentially turning ArcAGI problem to a sort of a search problem almost. Francois Chollet, the creator of Arc, also has this take that the model searches over the space of possible chain of thoughts. And in my mind, this is important. And it's important to actually be able to answer the question, did we just get AGI? Are we supposed to be scared of it? Well, if we consider Arc to be a definitive test for AGI, it does not matter how OpenAI achieved this. We are done. Let's just blow some fanfares and start collectively moving to the nearest graveyard. We're cooked. But if Arc is not a definitive test, well, the fact that we turned this into a search problem, it's relevant, and it might give us some hope. Is ArcAGI a definitive intelligence test? Well, if we take the view of Howard Gardner in his amazing book, Frames of Mind, where he distinguishes 8 types of intelligences, Arc only deals with a small part of it, mostly logical mathematical with a sprinkle of spatial probably. And I would argue we need, if not all of the 8, but most of them, to make any meaningful progress in any field. But even if we allow for this restriction to just test mathematical, logical, and spatial things, well, Francois points this out himself right here in this line. Acid, by the way, it refers to exposing a metal to an acid compound to see if it corrodes. And if it does not corrode, well, we have gold. By the way, I remember this a bit differently after reading his paper on the measure of intelligence. There's not much acidity in that paper, I think, but I digress. And Francois certainly seems to state nowadays that ArcAGI is not a definitive test. And it should be obvious why. No test is ever perfect. It's always the best thing we need right now for a particular problem. And I'm pretty confident that once O3 beat Arc, we can create a new test, which would definitely break O3. And it's not like we released a new model and someone tried it on Arc as a side effect. No. It seems that people in OpenAI had Arc very much in sight. Actually, this is pretty much the only news we have about O3. And they have beaten the test. But again, even if we are somehow able to create a definitive test for logical intelligence, there's way more than that makes humans able to achieve huge goals, like expanding throughout the whole planet, or landing on the moon, or building a huge space telescope. What I'm trying to argue here, having a high IQ test score, even in a perfect IQ test, which we don't have yet. It's just one tiny thing. You also need to score well in myriad of other things to be able to achieve any substantial goals. Not only that, since no single human could even land on the moon on his own, you need massive collaboration between different people and ability to properly interact with the environment to achieve anything substantial. But I hear what you might say. AI developers aren't done. This is just the beginning. And you might be right, but well, now might be the time to talk about energy efficiency. And mainly, well, do you need to be energy efficient to reach real AGI? Well, let's first see how much energy did O3 consume to solve ARC tasks. So here's the data we provided. Samples are basically a number of inference runs through the model. The more samples you have, the more runs you have, then the better the results. Also, the higher the compute cost. So we did not give the cost for longer high compute runs, probably because of different hardware configurations. But we can extrapolate. So here's the simple formula, and it gives about $3,400 per one ARC task. Wow, that's a lot of money for all the tasks. Yeah, it's over the million, it seems. Someone did the calculations based on the hardware we were likely to be using to come up with 1,785 kilowatt hours of energy consumption per one task. You know how much a human needs? Well, our brains on average, we consume about 20 watts on power. Well, let's say we think on one ARC task for 10 seconds. Let's do this quick calculation to come up with this quite small number. And in comparison, when we divide it like this, we are finding that O3 for a particular ARC task is using 30 million times more energy than a single human brain. This is just my guesstimation, but I think it's about right. Which can mean one thing. It seems that OpenAI is throwing energy at a synthetic IQ test. Well, in the world of infinite energy, that might be a sound strategy looking forward. So let's say right now, ARC task is costing $3,400 for inference, not for training. So yeah, what's the plan to lower it down? Because otherwise it won't be feasible to do anything larger than that, right? You can beat that IQ test, but how about solving real problem? And so far, I haven't really been seeing any substantial efforts in trying to make this way more efficient. And until that's done, well, you might want to sleep sound tonight. See ya.